Have you ever considered the destructive power of uncontrolled desire? Today we venture into an exploration of lust and its consequences, as depicted in the venerable pages of the Bible. This is not merely a religious discourse, but an exploration of human nature, of our innate desires and the turmoil they can cause when left unchecked. We're about to uncover a narrative that transcends time and faith. Let's dive into one of the most tragic tales in the Bible, the story of King David and Bathsheba. King David, a revered figure known for his bravery and leadership. Our journey brings us to the heart of ancient Israel, where a young shepherd boy named David was chosen by God to become one of the most influential kings in biblical history. Known for his courage and valor, David's story is one of humble beginnings, elevated to great heights by divine favor and his own unyielding spirit. Raised in Bethlehem, David was the youngest of 8 sons. His early life was marked by simplicity, tending to his father's sheep and mastering the art of the harp. But it was his courage that set him apart, a trait that would lead him to defeat the mighty Philistine warrior, Goliath, armed only with a sling and his unshakable faith in God. His victory over Goliath catapulted David into the limelight, and he quickly ascended the ranks, eventually becoming the king of Israel. Under his reign, Israel flourished. David united the 12 tribes, established Jerusalem as the capital, and brought the Ark of the Covenant into the city, making it the religious center of his kingdom. His rule was marked by wisdom, justice, and prosperity, earning him the respect and admiration of his people. But David was not just a warrior and a king. He was also a poet and a musician, credited with composing many of the Psalms, hymns of praise, lament, and wisdom that continue to inspire and comfort believers worldwide. Yet, despite his sterling qualities and achievements, David was, after all, human. And like all humans, he was susceptible to temptation, to the allure of forbidden desires. His heroic narrative takes a dark turn, a testament to the destructive nature of lust. David, a man after God's own heart, a shepherd turned king, a warrior, a poet, a leader loved by his people, was about to face a battle within himself. A battle not against giant warriors, but against his own desires. But even great men can fall victim to their desires. One fateful evening, King David saw Bathsheba, and the seeds of tragedy were sown. From the moment he saw her, David was immediately captivated by Bathsheba's beauty, a longing that would set in motion a chain of events that would forever stain his reign. It was an ordinary day in the life of King David. He was on the roof of his palace when his eyes fell upon Bathsheba. Her beauty was such that it ensnared the heart of the king, and he was instantly consumed by desire. Yet this was not a simple infatuation. David knew Bathsheba was married to Uriah, one of his loyal soldiers, a fact that should have deterred him. But blinded by his desires, he chose to ignore the moral implications of his actions. David's immediate infatuation with Bathsheba was not just a fleeting attraction, but a deep-seated longing that clouded his judgment. It was a desire that disregarded the sanctity of marriage, the loyalty of his soldier, and even the laws of God he was supposed to uphold. He was a king, a man of power and influence, yet in that moment he was no different from any other man swayed by the lure of forbidden fruit. This was the moment where the line between right and wrong blurred for King David. The fallout from David's actions was swift and severe. As the ripples of his choices spread outwards, they brought with them a wave of tragic fallout that would forever mark his reign. One of the first and most heart-rending consequences was the death of Uriah. This brave and loyal soldier who had served his king with unwavering devotion was sent to his death on the front lines of battle. This was not a casualty of war, but a calculated move by David to remove the only obstacle standing between him and Bathsheba. Yet, the wheels of divine justice were already in motion. The prophet Nathan was sent by God to confront David, revealing his sin in a parable that left the king horrified at his own actions. With this realization, David's heart was filled with remorse, but the damage had been done. The death of Uriah was just the beginning of the tragic aftermath. Bathsheba, a woman wronged in the most profound manner, was thrust into a whirlwind of grief and despair. Her husband was gone, slain by the very king she now found herself bound to. Her sorrow was further compounded when she bore David a son, a child conceived in sin, who was struck ill shortly after his birth. Despite David's pleas and prayers, the child did not survive. This was not a random stroke of bad fortune, but rather a direct consequence of David's transgressions. The death of their son served as a grim reminder of the cost of their actions, a price paid in innocent blood. The spiritual implications of these events were far-reaching. David, once a man after God's own heart, had allowed lust to cloud his judgment, leading him down a path of deceit and murder. His actions had not only caused harm to those around him, but had also created a rift between him and God. This was a spiritual wound that would take a lifetime to heal. And let's not forget the moral implications. David, as king, was meant to be a beacon of righteousness, leading his people with wisdom and integrity. Yet he had allowed his personal desires to override his duties, setting a dangerous precedent. His actions had shown that even the most noble and virtuous can fall prey to their basest desires, a warning that echoes through the corridors of time. In the end, the consequences of David's actions were not limited to him alone. They reverberated through his family, leading to further strife and conflict in the years to come. His decision, born out of a moment of desire, cast a long shadow over his reign, a shadow that would be remembered long after his death. Lust led David down a path of destruction and sorrow. It brought about a series of tragic events that left a mark not only on his life, but also on the pages of biblical history. A stark reminder that our actions, especially those driven by unchecked desires, can have far-reaching and devastating consequences. In the end, the story of David and Bathsheba serves as a warning, a sobering tale that echoes through the ages, reminding us of the tragic consequences that can unfold when we let our desires control us, rather than the other way around. King David, a man of great power and influence, allowed his lust for Bathsheba to overshadow his better judgment. This momentary lapse of control led him down a path of deceit and destruction, resulting in the loss of a child and the wrath of the Almighty. This story, entrenched in the annals of biblical history, is not merely a tale of lust and tragedy, but a potent lesson about the importance of self-control and the devastating repercussions that can arise when we fail to practice it. The tale of David and Bathsheba lays bare a fundamental truth about human nature. We are creatures of desire. These desires, when tempered and controlled, can lead to great achievements and happiness. But when they become unchecked, they can lead us down paths we never intended to tread, causing pain and suffering not only to ourselves, but to those around us as well. One of the key lessons we can draw from this tale is the importance of controlling our desires. It's not about suppressing or denying them, but about understanding them, acknowledging them, and managing them effectively. This requires self-awareness, discipline, and the wisdom to make the right choices, even when our desires tempt us to do otherwise. Another crucial lesson is the understanding that our actions have consequences. David's decision to pursue Bathsheba, despite knowing she was another man's wife, set off a chain of events that led to unimaginable tragedy. It's a stark reminder that we must consider the potential outcomes of our actions, and that sometimes the fleeting pleasure of giving in to our desires can lead to long-term pain and regret. Furthermore, the story teaches us about repentance and forgiveness. Despite his grave mistakes, David sought forgiveness from God and worked to atone for his sins. This shows that even in our darkest moments, there is always an opportunity for redemption and change. In the end, the story of David and Bathsheba serves as a warning, a cautionary tale that underscores the importance of self-control, the understanding that our actions have consequences, and the power of repentance and forgiveness. Remember, unchecked desire can lead to unimaginable consequences. Tread carefully on the path of lust,